What's going on YouTube? It's Vinny Reacts here, and today we're going to be talking about the NBA trade deadline. It has been crazy so far. As of this recording of this video, we're going to be talking about the 6 to maybe 8 major trades that have happened so far. Okay, YouTube. So the first trade I wanted to talk about today was the Dallas Mavericks and Washington Wizards trade, where the Dallas Mavericks sent 10-time NBA All-Star Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, and D'Angelo Russell and Dante Exum to the Wizards for Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, 2 first-round picks, and 3 second-rounders. So there was a big haul of players and picks in this trade, and I think this trade with the Wizards is important around the league in the draft. I think the Wizards, if they retain this pick and they get a top 2 or 3 pick and they get DeBonsa or Peterson with Young and Davis, the league's going to be in trouble in a couple years. I know AD's on the back half of his career, but if you get DeBonsa or Darren Peterson along with Trey Young going into his prime and you give them a couple years with that young core they got there, they could be nice. They could be scary in a couple years. So this Anthony Davis trade was important because it made the Wizards be able to retain the rights to their own pick this year. I don't know who that came from or how that happened, but I read that somewhere, and that's why that trade is so important. Not only do they get Anthony Davis, but they get to keep their top level pick for the upcoming draft, which is supposed to be loaded apparently. So that's why this Wizards trade was really big, and that's the biggest one that we're looking at so far. All right, YouTube. So this is the next big trade that happened. While I was at work, I turned on my phone and I seen that James Harden got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland. Now, this is a big trade too because it moves James Harden out of the West where it's really hard to make the playoffs, and the Clippers were looking to maybe be a play-in team at best, if even make that, or not the playoffs at all entirely. He kind of hinted he wanted to trade, said he didn't want to trade, but wanted to trade. So they just got rid of him so they didn't deal with the James Harden headache that he's given teams in the past. So they just went ahead and traded him for Darius Garland, who is 26 years old, a 2 time All Star, and about to go into his prime potentially, and should be good for the future rebuilding Clippers. Don't be surprised if you see Kawhi Leonard get moved this offseason. Probably not this deadline, but Kawhi Leonard will probably be out of there soon too because they're trying to rebuild their team, reload their team. I don't know if that is with Kawhi or with not, but for the Cavaliers, this is great if James Harden shows up and plays hard. If James Harden shows up and plays hard, it really gives them a great chance to get out of the East this year, I believe. And I really think this could be a massively great trade for the Cavaliers if they can keep James Harden after this season. Because the rumors lurking with LeBron James potentially returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers for one more retirement run with the core they have, and if they keep James Harden and they can get LeBron James without having to trade anybody because he has a no trade clause. It's just a lot of moving factors here, and I think this could be great for the Clippers going forward, and I think this can be great for the Cavaliers right now if James Harden wants to show up and play hard for them. Overall, I think this is a good trade for the Clippers going forward, and I think this is good for the Cavs if James Harden shows up ready to play. Okay, so this is the trade that really set all the trades off for this trade deadline so far when Shams reported that 4 time NBA All Star Trae Young was getting traded for CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum really didn't want to be in Atlanta. He got traded from New Orleans after dropping a 50 piece randomly, and then he got traded to Washington. So he didn't want to be there probably, and so this gives Atlanta a good, a little decent point guard, veteran point guard for them. But for the Wizards, this is a move going forward. This is great. This is investing with the core they have there: Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, Bilal Koulibaly, I believe is how you say that man's name, and Alex Sarr. Those 4 guys, they're really good. They're up and coming. And like I said, we just talked about how they got Anthony Davis. They also had Trey Young already before the Anthony Davis trade. So that's a good pick and roll threat. Davis with Young, that'll be really prolific in the pick and roll. The Wizards also traded Corey Kispert, who was a lottery pick, I believe, for them a couple years ago. Just been a solid role player in their rotation, though he's a moving piece in this trade as well. I think this trade was great. It really set the tone, I feel like, for this trade season. Trading four-time All-Star Trey Young just to the Wizards. Like, it was really unexpected that he was going to go to the Wizards. Like, he came out and said, "Hey, I want to go to the Wizards." And everybody was like, "Why do you want to go to the Wizards? Nobody wants to play for the Wizards right now. They're not good." But he wants to turn it around, it looks like, and they're doing it. The GM's investing in the team. So, I'm excited to see what the Wizards can do in the next couple years. So I think this was a good trade to set the tone. Overall, solid for the Hawks and great for the Wizards going forward. Our next trade we're going to be talking about is the Jaren Jackson trade. Now, I thought this was a weird trade because Jaren Jackson, I don't believe, if I recall, has ever said, "Hey, trade me. I don't like it in Memphis." He's just kept his head down, one defensive player of the year, believe he's a two-time All-Star, just played hard, wanted to get Memphis back on the map, was looking to work with John Morant to turn things in Memphis around and make them good playoff contenders. But recently, due to all the rebuilding and trading, they got rid of Desmond Bain, they got rid of Dylan Brooks. I mean, players have been hurt, they've always been hurt. John Morant's antics, just a lot of things were going on in Memphis. The coach got fired recently that they really built everything with, Taylor Jenkins. So I just think it's a lot going on in Memphis right now, and they're just gonna just dump it all and rebuild. The Jazz just seem to be like a place where power forwards just get traded. Like John Collins got traded there, Jaren Jackson got traded there, Laurie Markkinen got traded there. Like just all these power forwards just love to get traded to the Jazz. It's such a random common pattern among these centers. The Grizzlies traded Jaren Jackson, John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. So they also traded three of their rotational bench players. Um, also, I want to point out about Vince Williams. I wonder if him getting traded was a part of the incident that got leaked online with John Morant. If you don't know, there was a clip basically in a pregame shoot around where John Morant and Vince Williams Jr. were kind of getting into it, going back and forth, about to escalate into a fight. They were talking about, "Hey, let's go to the back and settle this, whatever." And Ja was like, "No, we're right here. Let's do it right now." But anyways, they had an altercation on the court, and I wonder if they're trying to keep John Morant happy, and that played a role in why he was traded to the Jazz. But for the Grizzlies, they got Walter Clayton and Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks, I feel like I haven't seen on the basketball court very much since he was a top 10 pick, I believe, in a couple drafts ago. Walter Clayton, he's going to be a stud point guard. Anderson and Niang, they're just kind of older veteran players that just kind of probably helped the money aspect of it match out. But the big thing about this trade that needs to be talked about is that they traded him for three first round picks. Not even Luka Doncic got traded for three first round picks. That is wild. So they traded four players and three first round picks future. So they're dumping their team and they're getting rid of their first round picks. So I really don't know what the plan in Memphis is. I hope that they trade John Morant and get him somewhere else. I hope I see a John Morant trade in the morning after I record this. That would be nice to see. But overall, I don't know what the Grizzlies are really doing with this trade. I really don't have too much to say about it. For the Jazz get better. The Jazz get a one of the best defensive players in the world, and I think their team's gonna slowly keep getting better and better, and they're gonna slowly eventually become contenders. So that's it for that trade. Okay, so one little mid-level trade I wanted to talk about was the Vucevic and Anthony Simons pick, a player for player with a second round pick. Um, the Chicago Bulls sent the pick and Vucevic for Anthony Simons and a second round pick. So they both swap a player and a second round pick. I think this is a good trade for Boston because if Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics want to actually try to compete later in the season, if Tatum decides to come back, I think this is a good move for them to make some playoff push because uh Nemus Keita or something like that is the current center for Boston, and I just don't think he's playoff level if they really want to make a push. And I feel like this could push Tatum to maybe try to come back in the playoffs. Be like, oh, okay, so hey, we got this center. We got a good center now. We got 17 points, 11 rebounds a night. That's what Vucevic is going to give you. Versus Simons is a good. He's a. I think he's going to be a good player, but he just needs the ball in his hands, and he's just one of those guys who needs the ball in his hands. So he really didn't probably mesh with Peyton Pritchard being the starter as much because he probably was expecting to be the starter. I don't know that situation, but Simons hasn't been probably what Boston was expecting for them, so they probably seen that he has value because he's a young player, and they're like, okay, let's get a veteran guy in here that can be solid at center for us and consistent. Vucevic is very consistent. That's probably another reason why they were willing to trade young Anthony Simons for old veteran, consistent Nikola Vucevic. Overall, I think this is a good trade for Boston. For the Bulls, not so much because now I believe they have 7 point guards on their team. They have so many guards, like half of their roster is guards right now, and it's just a mess. Chicago's whole roster is a mess. So I'm glad they dumped Vucevic so he could actually do something. I think that's really good. I like this trade for Boston. I hate this trade for Chicago. Not much more to say about it. On to the next trade. Okay, YouTube, I have some opinions about this trade. I really have been waiting as a Warriors fan myself. I was introduced to the game of basketball by the Warriors. I love the Warriors. They've always been my team. I have not loved Jonathan Kaminga. He just he won't he just wouldn't just play. He just wouldn't play hard. He just always complained. He wanted more money than he was worth. He wants to be the guy when we have Steph Curry on the team. Like, you're not the guy. We have Steph Curry on our team. Even though he's 38 years old, he's still averaging almost 30 points a night. He is the guy. Stephen Curry is the guy in Golden State. You are not the guy. You are not the guy. You are not getting $150 million. I really have strong opinions on this. I'm glad we got rid of him finally. Now, I am sad that it's not Giannis, and I am a little disappointed that it is Porzingis. But when Porzingis plays, he's a baller. Now, another thing I don't like is that we traded Buddy Hield. Now, the reason I don't like that we traded Buddy Hield is because he's got great chemistry with Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler is a guy that can be erratic. So it's good to have a guy in the locker room who can talk to Jimmy Butler and be like just like on some like one to one bro to bro stuff. I think Buddy Hield could talk to Jimmy Butler. And I think it's really unfortunate for Jimmy Butler that they traded his buddy, no pun intended, while he just got this ACL injury. But for the Warriors going forward, I mean, Porzingis, he's probably about 30 or 31 now, so he's probably only got a couple years of being pretty good left. He's hurt a lot, so I mean, it's whatever. But I feel like he could do something. He could be solid for, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 games. Because, like I said, he doesn't play a lot. He gets hurt often because he's a super tall, big guy. But when he does play, Porzingis can give some good production on the floor, and I think it'll be good. I'm curious to see what he's gonna go to Atlanta and do, Jonathan Kaminga. I don't know if he's gonna break out there and become this super all star, like scoring machine, dunking on people. Like, oh, you guys should have gave me $200 million. I'll show you. That's great. I hope he does. I'd love to see him become an all-star super player. Just sometimes the team you get drafted to just isn't the best situation for development of like certain players and just how they progress and become number one options. Like, it's hard when you come into a Warriors team and you want to be the top guy when you have Steph Curry on your team, and it's just difficult. And you have Draymond Green in the locker room. It's a whole mess. The same thing happened with Jordan Poole. He wanted money. He wanted to be a top guy on the team, and Draymond Green. They had their altercation and led Jordan Poole getting traded after they paid him all that money. Um, but anyways, back to the trade. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Good trade for Atlanta potentially going forward. We'll see how it is for the Warriors. Since they did this trade, I doubt they're gonna push for Giannis. I seen a report before I recorded this video that it's officially over in their push to go for Giannis. And I'm kind of sad about that. I really would have loved to see the Steph Curry Giannis Antetokounmpo duo. That would have been a phenomenal experience to watch. But we didn't get it, sadly, but that's okay. All right, YouTube. For now, that's going to be a wrap on this video. I hope you enjoyed this video about the trade deadline in the NBA. If you like this video, drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, drop a sub. And if you want to see this content right when it comes out, this and future videos, hit that post notifications bell so that way you can see videos when they come out right away. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace.